Hello everybody, welcome back to another video for the day. Now we're going back into r/neckbeard stories because you guys seem to absolutely love those story time format videos, so if you want to see more, be sure to slam the like button. Alrighty, let's go. Our first story comes to us from username Aurora Oakenshield. Band Neckbeard tried hitting on me and then tried to play a roulette between me and my friends to see who would respond to him. Hello there Reddit, I don't know if this belongs on here, but I thought it was Reddit worthy. So these events all happened at separate times, so I will try to go in chronological order the best I can. Let me introduce the main cast of these stories. P.S. This is a bit long, I love to write. Aurora, me, your very anxious narrator. Quick description, so I am no petite girl. I am 5'9", curvy, short, black hair, brown eyes, strong and more masculine features, and a bit on the tan side. I have a bit of muscle on me. In my friend group and in general, I am known to be very quiet but very passionate and protective person. I dress very professionally / dark academic aesthetic. I have a bit of a mouth on me and like to use my random facts and too detailed knowledge of crime and law to scare people like him away. Luna, this is my twin sister. I love her very much and am way too overprotective of her. She is the opposite of me, very light and artistic. Her physical looks are somewhat similar to me in height and muscle tone, but she has long brown hair, pale and blue eyes. We come from a tall and strong family, so we are not on the small side. She is less outspoken. We both suffer from eminence anxiety, so we don't like confrontation. She, unlike me, loves casual clothing like jeans and sweatshirts. We are both 17 now, but we were around 14 or 15 when we met the Neckbeard. Venus, this is my best friend at the time. She was on the shorter side, plus size, also had muscle to her. She had short hair like me, pale, brown eyes. She had an ungodly amount of confidence and will not shy away from a fight. She was very flirtatious and dressed in a punk / almost e-girl style and is very good at makeup stuff. She liked leading creeps and neckbeards on and break their hearts. Cruel, I know, but it worked. NB, this is Neckbeard. The guy wasn't your typical neckbeard. He was on the heavier side, had a somewhat neckbeard, however, to everyone's surprise, he bathed regularly and took care of himself for the most part. However, his personality is different. He was obsessed with Marvel, DC, Pokemon, kids cartoons such as Jimmy Neutron, Mario, Smash Bros. He was also obsessed with seeing movies and posting long-winded reviews on them as if he were an actual movie critic and as if everyone cared. They were incredibly cringy. He was also incredibly sexual and awkward to those of the opposite gender and could never read the room. He was also incredibly toxic towards guys, especially those who were in the lives of the girls he was trying to hit on. He was a year older than us. Our first encounter, when I met NB, I was a freshman in high school. Luna and Venus had joined the marching band while I was their support in the crowd. I was also their therapist because there was a lot of stress that went on in the band session. One of these stresses was NB. They came to me to talk about how he added them on Snapchat and was being really creepy towards them, so I told them to ignore him for now, but if he tried anything to block him and talk to the school about it. They ignored him and he went away, until he found me. One day, out of oblivion, he added me on Snapchat. Me being the curious person I am, wanted to see what this kid was about, wanted to see if what they said was true or if they had been overdramatic. And boy did I get my answer. The conversation starts out normal, with introductions and whatnot and talking about just regular stuff. Then after I sent him a selfie with a bit of my torso showing, he compliments me on my dress and then asks me for bananga pics. This is the first convo that we ever had and he's asking for that? And sends a very sexual message after that. I throw the law at him, saying that if I did that and he was found, that not only would he be charged with possession of child off-brand, but he would be expelled from school. On top of that, I live in a town where news and gossip travels like wildfire. So if word got out that I did that, it would ruin my family's reputation. At the time, my father was also a councilman for our town, and our family is one oldest and most well-known people in town. I literally have family who works in the police force, school, and town government, so I would be in deep shot if I ever did something like that. Other encounters. My other encounters were similar, that they mainly happened over Snapchat. He would randomly message me, Luna, Venus, and other girls in band. It only got worse after I joined band in my second year of high school. At this point, I was 16 and he was 17. He would still make poor attempts at flirting with me and others and snap us randomly to talk about topics like Marvel and stuff. Me and my friends are super into that stuff, but every time we talked about it, he would get incredibly flustered every time we shared our own knowledge on the subject or get very sexual about characters like Black Widow and Wonder Woman. Roulette encounter. One time, me, Luna, and Venus were having a sleepover at Venus's house when he snapped me. I showed them the message saying something along the lines of, "Oh look, our favorite creep is back." He then asked me what I was doing, and I snapped back that I was at a sleepover and stopped responding to him. He then proceeded to snap Luna, who left him on red. Then, not even 5 minutes later, he snaps Venus, who decides to have a little fun with him. She responds with a picture of her leg, and he starts to take the bait. He responds, he sends another pic of her with her tongue out. He responds with "ooh, tongue." And this continues for about until she had the idea to send a selfie of her dad and trying her best to type like him. Threaten him if he doesn't stop messaging her that he will come to his house and kick his butt. This scares him off. I just finished my junior year. Luckily, after band ended and shutdown began, I didn't have to deal with him as much since he now goes to a different school. He graduated this year, so I am now free from him. I have other stories from other creeps I dealt with, so if you'll want to hear some more, I have more. Summary: creep tries many failed attempts to hit on me and my friends. Thank you for reading. I know it was pretty long. Our next story comes to us from username ComprehensiveMud338. Neckbeard says he needs help saving the world. Hey guys, first time posting anything on Reddit, but I had to share my story. Sorry for the length, a lot has happened and I tried to condense as much as possible, but man, it's a bonkers story, so buckle up, you're in for a ride. Well, to start, let's talk about the neckbeard. He isn't really a typical neckbeard, given that he is very tall and lean, but still has the typical long beard and really long hair, loves anime, and never talks to anyone, like ever. Very little social skills, and spends most of the time reading manga. Always wearing a band t-shirt, and it doesn't look like he showers much. So this story takes place mostly in my college, and I know him since I was a freshman in 2016, but I never really talked to him. Maybe exchanged like 5 words, but that's it. So about August of 2016, I've known him for 6 months. Here in Brazil, the school year starts in February. I was polite towards him, but really, I don't know him. So I go to our college library, my friend is waiting for me in the entrance, and I go to pick a book for one of our classes. So here I am looking for biochemistry books, and this guy shows up, looks at me, and offers me gum. I say no thanks, and he's like, "Oh, okay," and then drops a note on top of the books I was holding and just runs off. At this point, I'm just confused, so I open the note and it says something like, "Oh, I really like you, and I feel you like me too. Maybe you want to go out sometime." Honestly, at this point, I just feel sorry for the guy. I'm just gonna have to let him know that I'm not interested. So a few days after this guy messages me on my cell phone, he has my number because the whole class is in a WhatsApp group. He wanted to meet me so we can talk, and I say, "Man, if it's because of the note, I don't have any interest. Sorry, best of luck though." He accepts it, and I think it's the end of it, but sadly, it was just the beginning. A few months later, we are all having class, and my friend goes to fill up her water bottle, and this guy comes up to her saying that they need to talk after class. She said he was really red and trembling, so she was a little concerned. After class, she decided not to go, mostly because she didn't want to lead him on or anything or whatever, so okay, we all headed home. I'm almost reaching home, and this same friend starts calling me. She is desperate. She's like, "Go check your WhatsApp, it's weird." So I check it, and I've been added to a group that's comprised of me, my friend Neckbeard, and 2 other numbers that we don't know who it is. So the Neckbeard is really desperate, texting in this group, saying that the world is going to end, we were the only people that could save it, and that he knew it was because he was a medium, and the prophecy of Chico Xavier, a popular medium here in Brazil, of the end of the world in 2019 was true. He wanted to meet in a popular college bar so we could go and save the world. At this point, I'm just tired of that bullshit. I said, "I'm sorry man, I'd rather take my chances than pay another bus ticket to go back there." He soon deletes the group and stops talking. My friend also contacted one of the unknown numbers to see if it could explain what was going on, and thankfully it was his cousin. She said he just had some mental problems problems and needed treatment, but his parents were religious and took him to the church instead. We are very worried that he is going to do something stupid, so the cousin says she's going to check on him when at home, and we say that we're going to check on him the next day at college. But here's the problem. He doesn't show up to class the next day, or the other. In fact, he just disappeared for 3 months. We don't really know what was going on. My friend is blaming herself at this point, and we are just confused about all that happened. When he shows up, we ask him what happened. He's dismissive, so we don't press him too much. And I think that's the end of it. Hopefully he stays on his meds, and we can all still be on the same class. But of course, that's not what happened. 2017 was a pretty uneventful year on that front. I didn't have any classes with him anymore and barely saw him. But in 2018, that's when stuff hit the fan, at least for me. By the middle of the year, I managed to get myself pneumonia, so I was in pretty rough shape. I was in class and I was just miserable, fever, coughing, and whatnot. I was planning on going to the ER after class. The neckbeard was not enrolled in this class, but a friend of his was. Later in the day, I received a message of him hoping I was okay and that he wrote a sonnet for me and was going to deliver it to me via my friend. Same one from before. I never replied to that message. I was just generally creepy. A day later, my friend just texted me that she has the sonnet that he gave it to her and asked if I want it or not. I say that I don't want it and she can do whatever to it. I end up reading it some days later and it mentions some pretty dark stuff, so was absolutely creeped out by it. A few months later, completely out of the blue, this guy again messages me just saying, "Hey, I need to know if you hate me." So I try and talk to him that no, I don't hate him or anything. He asked then if we could be friends, and I just try to maneuver myself in saying something that doesn't lead him into another breakdown, but I still say that no, I have no interest in being his friend. He keeps insisting, asking why not and all that. By this point, I'm texting my friend asking what I should do. She, being the marvelous human being that she is, goes talk to him, asks him if everything is alright, and to say that I was getting a little creeped out. She was more polite than that, but those are the highlights. He is very affirmative that I like him. By the way, I look at him in class, but let's be honest, I was just bored in class. She is of course sending me screenshots to me all the time, and I am thoroughly creeped out. He won't admit that I don't have any interest in him and that he should let go. He keeps saying that we are meant to be, she just doesn't know it, etc. I'm just freaking out at this point. I'm worried he will just follow me or something. I make sure I'm never alone with him ever. Of course, he comes with another poem that I just throw in the bin. To be honest, I'm kind of afraid of him to this day. There are a few other stories to tell about him, but I feel they are not completely essential to this plot, so I've left them out. I'm going to graduate at the end of the year, maybe next year's, depending on how it goes with the pandemic, and he is graduating with me. More stuff could still happen, I don't know. I've never let the college know about this, mostly because there isn't much they can do. We simply don't have the structure to deal with this, sadly. I hope this wasn't confusing or too long, and that I've kept you entertained. Hopefully college leading up to graduation doesn't have anything that's too eventful for you neckbeard-wise, and hopefully you have a safe year. Our last story comes to us from username Very Big Muscle Man. I was asking for it when I joined the board game club. So I found out about this subreddit and that neckbeards had such a big following online, and I have a story to share, so crack open the Doritos, lads, here we go. Happened like 3 years or so ago. Names have been changed obviously for privacy. Also, I'm on mobile, so excuse any F-ups or anything. It all started one night in summer when me and my housemate Rob decided to dust off his copy of Return of the King on PS2, one of the greatest pieces of art to ever grace my eyes. After an hour or so, we are halfway through the southern gate level, balls deep in dead orcs and trolls, when then the door opens and it's Craig, another housemate. He comes in and watches us play for a bit, not really being into video games himself. We ended up on the topic of D&D, and I said that I would want to try it, but didn't have anyone to play with. But I might go down to the local gaming cafe to see if I could just join a group. Surprisingly, Craig seemed keen for it as well, saying he knew it was really tactical, like his favorite game ever, chess. To be clear, it seems that a lot of people involved in the other stories I've read have been familiar with this sort of community and similar-ish hobbies and stuff. We are not. We are the kind of guys at college that will go out, parties, trying to be social hubs, that kind of stuff. Think general college douchebags, I guess. Sports, drinking, and going out, that was our scene. Me and Craig end up going to the games cafe the next week and spoke to the guy who worked there. Spent 30 pounds on a setup and asked him about finding other players. He said that there was a group who came in who had just lost 3 players, so he would ask them, saying they'd probably be in later if he were around. Me and Craig went for a few beers in my bar. Not actually mine, I was just head bartender and went back to the cafe a few hours later. The guy who worked at the cafe ended up introducing us to this group that sat on the table. There were 3 guys, 2 being regular looking nerdy guys with normal attire, Adam and Chris. The other was almost as wide as the 2 of them put together, about 5'8", longish brown hair that looked unwashed, no fedora, but there was a hefty trench coat wrapped around him, Liam the neckbeard. There were also 2 girls, one being your regular looking small chubbyish goth girl with black hair and a few tattoos, Alice, and the other being your regular slim hot goth alt girl with bright red hair, Laura. We ended up playing for a few hours and then called it a night. The others went home and me and Craig went home to get ready to go out. We gave Adam our number and he added us to the WhatsApp group for the game. Sometime that next week, Craig decided that he wasn't really into the fantasy side of D&D and had instead found another game which is in the same basic principle but was space themed instead. I decided to go back to the group as I'd enjoyed the game and wanted to keep playing. Plus, there was this whole low-key wanting to go back to see Laura who I'd definitely taken a liking to. During the game that day, the conversations were flowing a bit better. We were talking about where we worked/studied, they were students, and stuff like that. Got a good and friendly vibe from everyone except for Liam, who I thought was just a bit weird at the time, but looking back, he might have been trying to intimidate me or something. After we finished, we were talking about what we were doing that night. The guys, me included, were planning to just go home and do whatever basically, and the girls were going around to Alice's to drink wine and watch something. Seeing a chance, I said, hey, why don't we go out for a few? The other guys weren't big drinkers, but said yeah, sure, and the girls agreed as well. I took them to a bar where one of my old managers worked, just to flex a little bit, to be honest. I was new to the group, can you blame me? In my city, you tend to give people you used to work with VIP service/discounts if they come into your place when you're working. It's great. After a few hours, we moved to another bar, one which is an industry hotspot where everyone goes when they finish work. We get a table and we end up talking about relationships, and it comes out that everyone's single basically. Alice jokes about how all men are trash, she don't need no man, and that sort of stuff. Liam says something similar about women, but with a more serious tone. Women our age go for a-holes, good guys finish last, that kind of stuff. He also seemed pretty drunk. I don't think any of the guys were massive drinkers. A few drinks later, he ended up turning to Laura and saying, why is it that girls want to stop messing around and settle down? Whenever I'm not looking for anything in particular still, just see what happens. Well, we could always go back to mine and see what happens. I just remember thinking, the frick did he really say that? And Laura came back with, I'm saying at Alice's, she'll get lonely. He comes back with, well, there's room for 3. The more the merrier. I was exchanging looks with Adam and Chris, who sort of just rolled their eyes as if to say, for frick's sake, not again. As you can imagine, the atmosphere was awkward after that, but I unintentionally saved the day when I was hounded by a group of other bartenders I knew who had just got off work. That gave the girls an excuse to leave, as well as they went home. Leon went home, Adam and Chris stayed for one more with us, but called it a day when we bought in the tequila shots, kiddies. Just to confirm, there are more stories than just this one. This was just the beginning. I'll post more at some point, but thought this was enough for now. TLDR, I join a games group and meet a neckbeard who's awkward as frick out the post D&D drinks. And with that, that is going to have to be it with the video. If you'd like to be absolutely amazing and see more videos like this, be sure to like the video, comment down below what you liked about the video, and afterwards that, if you're not already, consider subscribing. I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.